Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us once again on Breakthrough News. I'm Celeste Granillo. Daniel, unfortunately, is unable to join us today, but he will be back soon. I promise he will. We are about to start a prepping series, and that is his forte, so I'm excited about him joining us then. And look out for that. We're gonna show people how to prep with just $20, how to get started, little ideas that we have, some items that you don't think is necessary to prep, but you will need them or you could barter, so stay tuned. We're very much looking forward to that. So today I wanted to go over a few things. I did take a few days off only because the main narrative in the news was all about the shooting that happened in Florida, and although that was tragic, and I was expecting to hear more about the families and those affected, but it turned into blaming the president, blaming the NRA, blaming the companies associated with the NRA, blaming Second Amendment people who support that, blaming anybody with a gun, people saying we have blood on our hands, everybody but the shooter. I have still yet to hear there was a shooter who did this. None of that I have heard at all. It's everybody else's fault except the shooter. So to me, that's propaganda, and I just don't care to discuss it, frankly. And I think that there's more important things that came out during that time. One of which, a bomb was dropped, not literally, but a financial one was dropped figuratively when it was announced that CalPers, which is the pension holder for all of the main state workers, including teachers, county workers, policemen, firemen, people like that, their pension is severely underfunded. It's at this time approximately 77% funded, and that's equals to billions of dollars missing. And when you have many people retiring every day, I just think that it's almost impossible to be able to take care of everybody on that. So either they're going to have to bail it out, which I think will probably happen, or people are going to have to take a drastic cut. Now, there are people who get paid thousands and thousands of dollars a month on these pensions. I have known a policeman. He worked 30 years. I won't say which city because it'll give it away. And his pension is $12,000 a month. So that's just one person. And so when he told this to me, I said, well, no wonder CalPers is going bankrupt. And then a few months later, this story comes out. So I just think that if you're in the system, if you have CalPers account, you need to start looking at alternate ways of protecting your wealth. This is your money and you worked hard for it all these years, but there's alternatives out there. You don't need to have it in this pension. I would start to do some research. And if you have any questions about that, please leave a message. I can refer you to different companies that have different strategies. You just don't have to stick it in this pension account. You can do so much more with it. You can even take control of it. So that's my concern, because as a taxpayer, we're probably gonna have to bail this out. There's no way that there's going to be any politician who will say teachers, policemen, firemen, sorry, you know. But what's concerning is that I'm sure that this isn't the only pension group that is short. I would be stunned if it was. And so you can find this story in the LA Times, Sacramento Bee, the San Jose Mercury News. It's very distressing. I think that it's cause for concern. So I would just take a look at it. But if you have a CalPers account, I'm not saying it's time to panic, but it's definitely the time to think about doing an exit strategy out of there. I would not. I wouldn't trust the state of California with my future. I just wouldn't. You know. But I'm biased. I don't even want to retire out here. So what can I say? The next story is about Turkey. They want to stop the Kurds from getting any kind of power, any kind of strength, because with this whole fight with ISIS in the Middle East, the Kurds have taken it upon themselves to fight ISIS. They have been quite successful. Yes, they've had Israelis backing them up. They've had Iranians backing them up. They've had even Russians. They've gotten a lot of materials. There's a lot of sympathy for them. They want a homeland of their own. And they had areas which, before modern borders showed up, they had their own areas that went from Iraq all the way down to Turkey. And Turkey's concerned because for a while the momentum was on the Kurd side, and there was some pressure on the Turkish government to say, okay, what are we going to do for the Kurds? And Turkey does not want to give up any of their homeland. If anything, Turkey wants to, I think, gain more for themselves. So they went in there in January, the end of January, and in February, and they made a deep incursion into the city of Afrin. They're actually calling it Operation Olive Tree, which I think is ironic. And they want to take that land back. And the Kurds are like, no, this is ours. Now you have to understand there are radical elements of the Kurds that have been bombing sites, kind of like ETA in Spain. The Kurds have had their own, and they have, there's been bombings, there's been issues like that. So Ankara considers them terrorists, but they consider them all terrorists. And I don't think that that's so, and I don't think that's fair. So they've gone into Syria. So they have literally invaded Syria, and the world has said nothing. And I think that's dangerous. I think that history has given us plenty of examples of what happens when you allow governments just to say, I feel like going in there. I feel like taking this land. Hitler did it. He went into Austria and nobody said anything. He went to Czechoslovakia. No one said anything. And then when he hit Poland, then all of a sudden there was a war. So it's time to put Erdogan in his place. And I think it's long overdue. He is not my favorite world leader, so maybe I'm biased, but I feel that he has neo-Ottoman dreams, and he needs to be stopped. On top of which, he went into Greece and he told them, yeah, I think maybe we should come in here. So he's even threatened them. So there needs to be a meeting about this guy, and Putin's probably the only one who's going to be able to take care of it as usual. So this will be very interesting. This is a story for you to watch. I guarantee you, sooner or later, we're going to be drawn into this. I would just like to thank everybody for watching our show. I am excited about where this is going. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything you'd like us to research or discuss, please leave comments. I also wanted to take the time to mention about the markets. Last month I said that there could be a rise in interest rates and we needed to watch out for that. And so we have a new federal chairman. Janet Yellen was not asked to stay on, thank God. Trump replaced her with Jerome Powell. And when his name was mentioned, everybody freaked out because he does not want to keep interest rates low. He said they've been low long enough, which they have. It's been over a decade, and he wants to start raising them. So when he got put in, there was concern. And then he came out with his own testimony, and he said, we're probably going to raise them, probably about 4 more times this year. Now that is a cause of concern. You have to understand that with each half of a percentage point that interest rates are raised, that adds on billions of dollars that is due to our debt. Now, our official debt is 21 trillion. So just a little tiny percentage of that equals billions of dollars that's also due. Now, if we have 21 trillion laying around and we can't pay it, can you imagine billions and billions being stacked on throughout the year? Be concerned, and I can see why the markets tanked today. It went down over 420 points. And remember last time I told you guys to watch the VIX, the Volatility Index. Now, earlier this week it was about 13, then I saw it go up to 15. Last night, I always check the European markets before I go to bed. It was at 19.99. Today it went up to 23 during, I'd say about noon today. So keep an eye on that. And remember, I think the markets are going to keep being volatile. They're going to keep going up and down. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of shifting going around in DC. A lot of things that we don't even know about, I think, are about to come to the surface. It's going to affect their markets. You have to realize that the markets are all about psychology, rumors. You remember a while back, somebody went on and said, oh, we're going to do this and that, and then the market just tanked. You know, billions of dollars were lost, you know, all because of a tweet. That, it happens. That's just how the markets are. So the new Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, came out and said, even if the markets are volatile, that's not going to stop us from raising rates. Now, a few years ago, if anyone came out and said, I think this is a year to raise rates, the markets would tank and, well, not tank, but they would go down, and then everybody go, okay, we're not going to raise rates, and put it on the back burner. But Jerome Powell is saying, I don't care if the markets are volatile. We're still going to do this. And that brought down the decline today. That's something to watch. So, you know, like I told you guys last month, March, hold on. It's going to get bumpy. It's going to be a little crazy, but you heard it here, so I'm sure you've taken time to prepare. Watch the inflation levels as well. I'm actually curious to see where they're going to go. The markets were also affected because Trump announced that he's going to do a tariff on steel and aluminum. And allegedly, these companies have been asking for the U.S. government for help on this for a few years. So I think that they're going to be the winners of this. And Trump said it's indefinitely. And the losers could be auto companies. It could be heavy equipment, machinery companies. It could be construction companies. But I think they're going to be fine once the infrastructure plans take place. So, you know, George Bush 43, he also put tariffs in 2002, and people are still discussing whether or not that affected the markets or not. So I don't think that these are going to be too big of a deal. I just think that with the fear of interest rates and then these tariffs, I think everybody was just completely spooked today. So just hang on. You've heard it here first. And like I said before, get prepared and get ready. So I'm going to wrap this up today. Thank you so much for joining us. I will make another video soon, and so if you like this, please like and subscribe, pass this along, and if you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.